Selena Gomez. Here is the 100% translation of the provided text into English, without omitting any words. You know the shine, the packed stages, the perfect music videos, the sweet Disney girl who grew up before our eyes, always smiling. But behind that smile, there was something broken. And it wasn't just the heart. It was the soul. The truth is that, being Selena Gomez was never as magical as it seemed. And today, you're going to understand why. Before we start this story full of highs and lows, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any revelations and stay until the end. You'll be surprised. You were born in 1992, in Texas. Daughter of a teenage mother, raised amidst hardships and small dreams. Your mother, Mandy, struggled to put food on the table. And you grew up watching all of this with big, hopeful eyes. Still a child, you wanted to shine. And at 10 years old, you landed your first role in Barney and Friends. It was the beginning of the fairy tale. But fairy tales always hide monsters in the shadows. Soon came Disney. Wizards of Waverly Place turned you into a global star. Millions of girls wanted to be like you. Beautiful, funny, talented. But you knew the truth, everything was calculated. Everything was scripted. Including your way of being. You lost your childhood in the studios. You lost your freedom in the contract. While other girls were living high school, you were living on set, made up, with a camera in your face. And no one asked you how you felt. You became famous. But you also became a product. Your image sold dolls, t-shirts, magazine covers. And you learned to smile, even when you wanted to scream. At 18, you started dating Justin Bieber. And that's when the hell began. The whole world followed your every step. Every kiss, every fight, every relapse. You were judged for everything. If you cried, you were weak. If you forgave, you were foolish. If you walked away, you were ungrateful. You lost control of your own story. And when the relationship turned into a toxic cycle, you no longer knew who you were. The breakup with Justin destroyed you inside. And while he moved on, you sank. But no one saw. Because while you were crumbling backstage, on social media, you kept smiling. But the pain can't be hidden forever. Crises, mental health, the beginning of the fall. You started having anxiety crises. Panic attacks. Depression. The fame that gave you everything was also consuming you from the inside. In 2015, you revealed to the world that you had lupus, an autoimmune disease. The public thought it was just a phase. But what no one knew is that it was only the beginning of a series of physical and emotional torments. You were hospitalized multiple times for mental exhaustion. You underwent treatments in rehab clinics. You disappeared from social media for long periods, and when you returned, the world only wanted to know one thing: who you were dating now. No one asked if you were okay. No one saw that, behind Selena's eyes, there was an exhausted, broken, invisible girl. But if you think that was rock bottom, wait until you see what happened when your own body started betraying you. And a broken heart turned into a life-threatening risk. Continuation of the fall. Your body was screaming for help. Lupus wasn't just a medical term. It was a sentence. An inflammation that attacked your organs, your nervous system, your energy, and above all, your hope. You felt constant pain, dizziness, extreme fatigue. Sometimes you couldn't get out of bed. Sometimes, you didn't want to. But no one understood. Because out there, people kept seeing you as the strong Disney girl. As if you didn't have the right to falter. Then, in 2017, came the cruelest moment. Your kidneys started to fail. And you would need a transplant. Urgently. Imagine this, you, at 25 years old, with the whole world watching, and your body begging for help. You looked in the mirror and no longer recognized your own image. And inside, everything was in ruins. The transplant. And the pressure of gratitude. Your best friend, Francia Reisa, donated a kidney to you. An act of love. A life-saving gesture. But with it came another weight. You now carried the pressure of living in eternal gratitude. Of always being okay, always happy, always grateful. But the pain didn't go away. The transplant brought new complications. The scar reminded you every day of what you went through. You later revealed that you fell into deep depression after the surgery. And even so, people wanted the cheerful Selena. The Selena with perfect makeup. The Selena who posts smiling selfies. You became a hostage to your own image. And the real woman was left aside. Relapses and unstable mental health. You tried to seek help. You entered psychiatric clinics. Participated in intensive therapies. You were diagnosed with bipolar disorder. But not everyone accepted that. Many called it drama, victimhood, a marketing ploy. And every one of those words was a knife in your emotions. You started to isolate yourself. To distance yourself from friends, fans, your own music. You started to speak less and feel more. There were nights when you thought about giving up on everything. When the world seemed too heavy. When the pain no longer fit inside you. But you couldn't say that. Because you were famous. And fame doesn't allow weakness. The trap of social media. You tried to be honest on Instagram. You talked about your struggles, your pain, your bad moments. But the internet has no compassion. The cruel comments came. The comparisons. The jokes about your appearance, your weight, your decisions. People saying you looked swollen. People saying you were playing the victim. People who had no idea what it was like to live with lupus, bipolar disorder, physical and emotional scars, and still judged you as if they knew everything. You opened up in interviews. Said that social media was poison for the soul. Said that you woke up and the first thing you felt was fear. You were surrounded by millions of followers. And even so, you felt alone. The abyss behind the gaze. You could be on a red carpet, surrounded by flashes. And inside, feel like you were falling. The relapses came without warning. You cried in hiding. You felt like a burden in other people's lives. You wondered if you would ever be truly happy, or if it was all just a big act. You started to distance yourself more from music. From acting. From everything that once gave you identity. It was as if the shine had gone out. And all that was left was a girl with a scar on her body. And hundreds of others on her soul. But what came next was even crueler. Because no matter how many medications you take, some wounds simply don't heal. And Selena had to face an enemy that couldn't be treated in any hospital, the loneliness of being herself. The loneliness of being you. Have you ever stopped to think about what it must be like to live trapped in yourself? With the world calling you an inspiration. While inside, you feel like you're losing your own essence. That's the kind of loneliness you know well. Not the kind of being alone. But the kind of no longer recognizing yourself. Being Selena Gomez became a burden. You were a brand, a headline, a target. And deep down, you just wanted to be a person. But even that didn't seem possible. Failed relationships and hurtful expectations. You tried to love again. Tried to open your heart after the storm called Justin Bieber. But the pain didn't allow it. There were short, intense, messy relationships. People who saw you as a symbol, but not as a human being. And you felt that. Felt that, Many times, they loved you more for the image than for the soul. You started to protect yourself, to build walls, to distrust everything and everyone. Fame gave you thousands of suitors, but it took away your chance to trust. The mask of the smile. You learned to smile out of obligation, to put on makeup, wear the costume, leave the house, even with your soul screaming for rest. Because you knew, if you disappeared, they'd say you were weak. If you told the truth, they'd call you ungrateful. If you showed pain, they'd tell you to get over it. So you kept everything in. Swallowed the tears. Did interviews with red eyes. Went to events with anxiety crises in your stomach. You became an expert at pretending. But every time you smiled, something inside you died a little more. When the world seems to have no way out, there were moments when you thought about giving up on everything. And you said that, publicly. Courageously. You admitted you had dark thoughts. That you no longer saw purpose. That the pain seemed bigger than life. But even that was judged. People saying it was drama. That it was marketing. That it was just a phase. As if your existence were a TV show script. As if your pain needed approval. You were at rock bottom. With fame. With money. With followers. And even so, at rock bottom. That's the side no one shows. The side where being a star means living extinguished inside. The question that remains: how many times did you just want to disappear? How many times did you look in the mirror and see nothing there? How many times did you think that, maybe, the world would be better without you? These are questions that don't have easy answers. And you're still trying to find some. But there's something in you that still resists. Even after everything. And maybe, just maybe, that's the beginning of a new story. Selena Gomez's life was marked by forced smiles, suffocating relationships, cruel diseases, and a loneliness that not even the spotlight could hide. But even among the ruins, sometimes a flower blooms. Now that you know the dark side of this star, click on the other video and discover the other side of the story, the good side. The part that talks about overcoming, strength, and reconstruction. And after all this, what do you really think about Selena Gomez? Do you think she was a victim of fame, or survived it? Tell us in the comments. Your opinion is part of this conversation.